go and find it, get on your path, and start figuring out who you are, what your soul mission is, and take your power back. You are a co-creator, my friend. There is not anything that you cannot do. It is all existing in the now. You just have to align your vibration with it and pull it in.
Hello and welcome back to Paranormal Perspectives. My name is Stan, and tonight I have a very interesting guest, somebody I was very privileged to be part of on their podcast to tell my story to the world for the first time. Tonight I'm speaking to Christy Busby, who is from the F.A.T.E podcast, and F.A.T.E stands for From Atheism to Enlightenment. Hi Christy, how are you doing?
Hi, Stan. How are you doing? It's good to see you again.
Oh, same here.
I enjoy you so much. You have such an incredible story. It was a pleasure to have you on my show. And now look at me. I'm here and we're going to talk about me for once.
Yeah. No, I want to know all about your story because you have such an energy about you. And I think your power comes from connecting people in the paranormal world. But also it's, yours is one of the many kind of platforms that allow people to share their very personal experiences. Because I felt very vulnerable sharing my story, but you always make me feel so comfortable to say that because my story isn't the prettiest, but it does start a very big adventure, which led me into the paranormal. So I'd love to know kind of from your story, kind of what led you into the paranormal and how it all started. So for anyone watching at the moment who doesn't know you in our audience, which is now over 1,000 at this point, which is, I can't believe I'm saying, really. So we are growing slowly but surely. So yeah, Christy, I'd love you to introduce yourself to our guests, where you came from, what excites you about the paranormal, what excites you generally.
Great. Well, I have a bit of a long story. I will make it as entertaining for your folks as possible. I came up in a very religious situation. My parents were very pressed upon us to go to church 3 times a week. It was kind of, it was a bit much. And I always knew from a very young age, I'm talking like 7, 8, 9, when I would go to church and sit there and listen to the preacher talk, that it never rang true to me. It never felt like this was what our reality was about, that this was truth, that this was the only way. I was told things like we were the only ones going to heaven and everybody else was going to hell. And I was like, that cannot be true. It did not ring true. My friends at school were not going to hell at, 7 years old. And that we shouldn't feel sorry for anybody else because where we were going, it was always going to be sunshine and happy and smiles, and we shouldn't feel bad for so it would just, at a very young age, I was told things that my inner knowing was just like, this isn't true. So I went the other way. I became an atheist and I went total science. I got a degree in animal behavior and neurobiology.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
I used to
Impressive.
I used to train hippos and rhinos. Like I worked with animals before I got into the movie industry. I've been in the movie industry for 20 years now. And so I've had a very interesting life as far as that goes. I've done a lot of, unconventional life for a female, I would say. So anyways, I went all science. If I couldn't see it, touch it, feel it, it didn't exist. I didn't believe in an afterlife. I didn't believe there was anything else going on other than I was going to get born, I was going to die, I was going to cease to exist, and no one could convince me otherwise, especially the church, especially religion. I was kind of against it on all fronts, no matter what denomination you chose. And then I was plodding along with my life, feeling great, having an amazing time working on movies. And I ended up getting sick about a decade ago. I was hospitalized. I was in intensive care for 11 days. I almost died. It had to do with my brain. And after I came out of that, I was having a really hard time getting back to my vibrant, energetic self. Western medicine wasn't helping me. Taking pills wasn't helping me. So I decided to do alternative ways to heal. And one of the things that I did was something that's called Kambo. Are you familiar with anything called Kambo?
No, enlighten me.
Well, it's plant and animal medicine. So Kambo is you do it in a ceremony. It's a ritual in South America that they've been doing for since ancient times, where they harvest the venom of a specific tree frog, and you burn holes in your skin and you lay that venom on your skin, and it floods your body with a ton of amazing peptides that kind of wake your body up in a way that is extremely intense and very much changes how you look at your reality. When I did Kambo the first time, and I've done it several times, it was the first time that I felt something else going on inside of my body that wasn't me. There was an energy within me that I started to literally feel. And after I did Kambo, that kind of started waking me up to, oh, I think there's more going on than what I thought all these years. And it made me feel better. I got a boost of health. I gained back some of my mobility, my energy, my vibrancy. So I wanted to do it again. I also sat with ayahuasca and went and did a ceremony in the jungle. And when you sit with ayahuasca, you really start to understand that reality is layered, it's complex, there's much more going on. And it kind of blew my mind open to other thoughts and ways of seeing what our lives are. And when you can go into an ayahuasca ceremony and you can have these experiences where you're interacting with other beings, you're seeing yourself, visions of yourself maybe as a child. I mean, ayahuasca pretty much delivers to you whatever you need at the moment that you sit with her. And these plants are healing. They are our teachers. They are sacred. They have been healing ancient tribes and whatnot for since the dawn of time. And although you should never use them outside of a ceremonial process and everybody should do their research, sitting with something like ayahuasca and allowing it to open up who you really are is probably my first step into changing my belief system as to what and who we are. So from that process, I really started stepping on my path and really wanted to learn more. I became almost obsessed with what really is going on here. Who are we? What are we doing? What's going on? What else don't I know? And it led me, and I was out actually walking around, and this idea occurred to me, like, if you're this inquisitive right now after what you've gone through, there's got to be other people out there that are also
Yeah.
looking for more, that are starting to understand there's more going on than what we're taught. And I wanted to do a show about my experiences. And initially, it was going to be more geared towards alternative ways to heal, because I started doing energy work. I started doing meditation. I started getting into my body more, grounding, you know, being present, doing all those things. And so initially the show, the trajectory I thought was going to be about alternative healing and ways to heal the body, which it still is. I still have healers on. I still have plenty of episodes that deal with the body, with healing and how important that is. And I love that. But what I really have started to understand is that my show is more about the nature of what and who we are. And I have come to find so many things that have just been enlightening to me through this process. It's been like a school, you know. I had no idea that We are co-creators of our reality. What we think, what we believe, we attract. In every moment of every second of every day, you are creating your reality by what you're saying, you're spelling, you're speaking, by what you're thinking, and what your belief systems are. That is what you're going to pull in to your vibration, your auric field. And once you understand that you are co-creating while you're down here, you can step in to start saying affirmations, do manifestations. Manifestation is kind of like a mainstream concept at this point. There isn't a lot of people that don't talk about, oh, I'm manifesting this or whatever. That's like, pretty common these days. But if you believe in manifestation, you must have some level of understanding that you are creating with your thoughts, your words, what you say, how you say it, all of those things, your intention. Your intention is everything. Your intention and your attention, what you focus on grows. If you're focused on negativity, if you're focusing on lack, if you're focusing on lower vibrational stuff, you are going to continue to see that kind of thing show up in your reality. If you are focusing on A, the present moment, and B, higher vibrational emotions, love, peace, calm, creativity, joy, you're going to create that. It is a law of attraction. There's universal laws that I've learned about, the law of attraction, the law of cause and effect. We are multi-dimensional. We have parallel lives. There's no such thing as time. And I know I'm saying a lot of stuff that's like your audience could be like, whoa, calm down. But it's like, there's so much that I have learned about who we are. And I'm now on a mission to sort of shake people up a little bit and ask them to start looking at their own belief systems and understanding more that what they've been taught is 9 times out of 10, especially if you grew up in a very religious community. And I don't mean to like bash religion. Like if that's your journey, that's your journey. But I don't think that religion is here to bring joy and bring us together. I think it has divided us. I think it has left us without any power. We give our power over to something else, a priest, a pastor, an elder. You're supposed to look to some sort of hierarchy for your salvation, to be closer to God. And that's not how it works. Your power is within. Your power is, you should never give away your power. It is, you are, you're a tiny fractal of the divine. Your spirit is divine. You are an eternal being of light. And then you can start dancing into the direction of reincarnation, and that we live many lives down here. And if you do something that's called a past life regression, and you go into your subconscious mind that holds the key to who you are at the end of the day, and you sit with somebody who can illuminate you to who you were in a prior life, what you're supposed to learn while you're here on this plane. There's a great awakening happening at this point in our journey as humans on this plane. We've left the age of Pisces. We're into the age of Aquarius. You're going to see lots of the technology rise up. You're going to see the rise of the awakening of humanity. And there's just, it has been, I know I've been talking for like 10 minutes straight, but
it's a hell of an introduction, I have to say.
Like, it's been mind-blowing to me to learn all that I have learned on the show that I've done. And the other weird thing, Stan, is this. When I started doing this show, number one, I think the first 5 episodes, I had to ask somebody to come on. And like 2 of those 5 people were like, one was my sister and one was my best friend. The other 3
I've
were
had
like,
my sister on too.
yes. and then I went to a psychic fair and talked to a few people and got them to come on the show. But since like episode 5 or 6, I have never had to ask anyone to be on my show, which I think is completely bizarre and random. And it's been so, it's like I blew on a podcast and the door opened up. I've only been doing it a
Mm.
year, almost 2 years now, almost 2 years. And, I'm not hugely popular, but I have like over 11,000 YouTube subscribers. I did one ad, it
You've
went
done very
viral.
well.
I got like, you know, 10,000 just off one video. Like the
Wow.
universe has kept on reinforcing that this is the direction I'm supposed to go in. I have interviewed so many mediums and astrologists and psychics, and every single time either we're talking after the show or it happens on the show, hey, just so you know, you're supposed to be doing this. This is your path. This is meant for you. You're supposed to be teaching people. You need to keep going. I had interviewed this guy named Agni Laksha, and he's a mystic.
Mm-hmm.
And he reached out to me just a few months ago and said, I just want you to know I spent the summer with this new master and so, and I was in deep meditation. And I was told to tell you that you're going to be one of the important voices with the great awakening that's happening on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
and that you need to continue on your spiritual awakening and have a kundalini awakening because they're waiting
Mm-hmm.
to contact you. Another medium, Barbara, was like, oh yeah, somebody's going to come along and pluck you out of obscurity and put you on a platform, and you're not going to believe that you deserve to be there. But that is when all your angels are going to come around and surround you and support you. I had another guy, Nico, who he channels other dimensional beings, which that's another thing that I have like completely obsessed with. Like anybody that can
Mm-hmm.
channel a higher dimensional being, to me is fascinating. And you could be cynical and say that's BS or whatever, because I was that person. I was that cynic. You couldn't tell me anything. It's only through my own personal experiences that I have even been able to change my own belief system. And I truly believe that unless people experience things, it's very hard to get somebody to change their beliefs. It's almost impossible. I had to go through a lot of trauma before I was even open to changing my belief system. So anyways, Nico is channeling Noah, and Noah told me that I was going to be one of the future important in the future of voices for the Great
Mm-hmm.
Awakening. So I'm saying all this because I truly believe in a mystical, magical way that I'm finally on my path of doing what I'm supposed to do. It's not working with animals. It's not making movies. I'm supposed to go in this direction. And because it has been so easy for me to get a successful podcast up and going, it just reaffirms for me all the time, like, oh yes, this is what I'm doing. I have synchronicities all the time. Like I can't tell you how much connectivity, synchronicity, magical stuff happens to me all the time. And I think it's because I am paying attention. I'm even feeling other energies around me now. Like I wouldn't say it was a paranormal situation like you have, but I'm definitely experiencing a higher level of energy around me that I can feel that I have never felt before in my life. So it's been such a magical journey, and I'm excited. I really am. I'm excited to continue learning and growing and giving people a different perspective, a story, an interesting conversation that can open up new ways of thinking and really allow people to start taking their power back and understanding who they are. Because in my opinion, Most of us are completely asleep to the
Mhm.
magnificence of who we are. And 20 minutes
Well,
later.
that's amazing. Sorry, my throat's even going as well. I can't believe I didn't say anything for so long. I wanted you to kind of just roll off your energy because you're full of so much positive energy, and I just want to share that with the world, really, like with my audience, because we all need that more than ever, really. And I think your experience is amazing, really. So, just like going back a little bit, when you went through, did you say it was code? You went through like a code, do with like the animal,
Carm
the thing on the arm.
I did Kambo. Kambo.
Com-
Yeah, it's
Combo.
called
I'm sorry, I misheard.
Kambo.
So yeah, so your combo experience. Did you go into it looking for a spiritual experience, or was it just to try an alternative to medicine,
Yeah.
hoping for the best, basically?
Yes. I was at the stage of my health crisis where there really wasn't anything I wouldn't do. Literally. There was nothing. If I thought it was going to help me, I was going to do it. So like,
I wouldn't blame you.
I there were just
Yeah,
so, my family was scared to death when I was going to go do combo. My mom was like, this could kill you and la la la. And I can't believe you're going to do this. And, you get all of this fear around something. And at the end of the day, I didn't have anything to lose. I was not living the vibrant life that I had led for all of my years. And I was going to do whatever it took to get
yeah,
myself back. And so going to do ayahuasca, going to do combo to try and get myself healthy again, you couldn't hold me back from doing it. I was going to do whatever. And I have done like Rife machines. I have done energy healing, obviously. I've done peptides. I mean, you name it. I've done it. And I still
yeah,
think there's a plethora of great healing that lies outside of mainstream Western medicine that
yeah.
is much more beneficial, much more natural, overall better outcome than a lot of what mainstream medical options are currently, especially
Yes.
for people that have autoimmune diseases and all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff.
Hmm. No, I get that completely, and it seems to be like there's a link between people who go through this big awakening, and the main thing is trauma. To be in a situation where your life is at risk, or could be maybe a loved one's life is at risk. Like when we're put under tremendous pressure to
Yes.
want to survive, it seems to activate something. Whether it's within, I don't think it's just within ourselves. Just it's part of it is within ourselves, but also within our lifeline, I suppose, where it's like suddenly turbo power. You turn Super Saiyan kind of thing, and I still love Dragon Ball Z, but he just seemed to just like be pushed to the brink, really. And there's that expression about diamonds are made under pressure, obviously called to diamonds. And that's where you realize this life, this suffering that we go through, that seems to be endless. There's more to it than that. You begin to raise above the fog and then see. It's almost like raising above the tree line to see the beautiful forest, the
Yeah.
sunrise. Whereas previously, all you could see was the dark and the damp that you'd been through at the time. And you know my story. I went through a tremendous trauma and then came out very different. And there seems to be so many people at the moment going through their own individual traumas or challenges, and they always come out this changed person that can see the world in a different way, maybe be more of a kind and caring person because they can see more about life, about what's going on, about where we've been, where we're going. And yeah, just like I was raised religious, and through my experience questioned all of that because it wasn't serving me. I mean, I do believe there wasn't originally a religious story, a truth a long time ago, but I think over time it's been manufactured and adjusted and Frankenstein's, I suppose, over time to support another man's narrative, ultimately. And yeah, so I do believe there is some truth there, but I always felt what I knew back then just didn't feel right. It wasn't a loving, caring thing. It felt full of hate and anger, let alone the fact that I'd had a paranormal experience myself, like that would be seen as evil. So but yeah, good on you for being who you are now and riding that wave of positivity and trusting that change. And it's bringing you big things at the moment. And I can see kind of where your life is going right now, anyway, with recent changes. But Yeah, I mean, it heartens me to see I'm not alone.
I often say on the show, like, it is true that people need to be shaken to awaken. Not
Shaken to
everyone is
awaken.
shaken to awaken. I mean, you really do. There's no magic pill that you're going to take.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody has trauma in this experience, and everybody experiences it for a different reason. Other things that I have just like learned along the way that I thought like, oh, I wish more people thought of, trauma in this way. Like, a lot of people have a sense of victim of why me, or
Mm.
not taking responsibility for their own, what has happened in their own lives. And when I say these things, I'm not doing this. I'm telling you, I have learned this. I needed to take responsibility for how I got where I was. I needed to um, be the arbiter of my own health and take my own power back and start diving into who and what I am. At the end of the day, I think I look at my health crisis, and you probably look at the same way if I had to guess. I look at
Hmm.
my health
Hmm.
crisis now as a gift than a
Yeah,
curse.
yeah, yeah.
It's a gift. And if people were to look at the trauma that they experience in their life more as a gift, because it is going to give you some goodies, folks. I don't care if it's a death in the family, a health crisis, a divorce.
Hmm.
Pick your traumatic experience, pick one. All of them are going to lead to some sort of revelation or some sort of
Hmm. Hmm.
good outcome. You're going to learn, you're going to grow, you're going to change your perspective on a lot of things. It does. Trauma allows growth, and sometimes human beings can't experience the growth that they need to achieve when they're here living this life. I truly believe that every incarnation that you have here, you're here to learn a certain stuff that you're supposed to learn. Maybe
Yeah.
you're supposed to learn about grief. Maybe your child dies and you're like, oh my God, that's a terrible traumatic experience to have a child die. I can't think of anything worse.
Mm.
Maybe that was something that was supposed to be a learning experience for you while you were here. And now, from what I understand, and I don't know how far down the rabbit hole you go, but this is how far down the rabbit hole I've gone.
Go ahead, Alice.
Exactly.
You're speaking as well. You're speaking to somebody who grew up in Oxford, and that's where the story was written, wasn't it? Yeah, C.S.
Yeah.
Lewis.
Yes. So, I mean,
Go for
from
it.
what I understand, all of us that are here on this plane right now have come down here with predetermined things that will happen in our existence. And yes, we have
Hmm.
free will, and yes, we have choice, but there were certain things that were always going to be happening that were predestined before we got here. It is set up. You plan your life in your spirit with your soul family. You keep coming
Hmm.
down here and reincarnating with a lot of the same folks, your soul family. And it's almost like you're an avatar of sorts. Oh, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to be your mom in this life, and I'm going to be, and you're my child, and in the next life maybe I'll be married to you and you'll be my husband. And you keep almost acting out these scenarios that are going to lead you to be
Hmm.
a more compassionate, more conscious, more evolved
Yeah,
soul. And it's all about consciousness. That's
yeah.
that's what we are. If you were to boil it down to what the pinpoint one word that matters most in all of the spiritual teachings is to understand consciousness, and that
Yeah.
you are not your ego. I'm not the daughter. I'm not, the movie maker. I'm not all these identities that I cling to while I'm here on this 3D plan that make me feel like who I am. I'm not any of
Hmm.
those things. If I strip away all of that, I am an awareness. And I'm not even the awareness that I am the observer of my life, if that makes sense. Not the
Mhm.
participant. I am the observer behind the participant, if that makes any sense.
It does. Yeah, that's exactly the conclusion I came to a little while ago. So I'm really
Oh,
glad you said
goody
that so
two shoes.
eloquently. That's the thing, because like for one, consciousness, like I'm going to ask you about channeling in a minute actually as well, because you
Mhm.
mentioned about channeling. But are we not at the moment channeling our consciousness? Because who's to
Yes.
say our consciousness isn't being beamed in from another location?
Yes.
Hence why we get the feeling like we're an observer. You know, when we're a consciousness currently being transmitted to an avatar. And I think
Yes.
avatar is a great word to use in this case, because we put so much onus in the life that we have now. And you know, we use this word called death. You know, we say at the end of this life, it's death. So death being the word that is assigned to the end of all things, never coming back, and that's it. We still use that word death now. Even spiritual people still use the word death. Why do we not use the word maybe return to source,
Yes.
transfer? You can use any kind of word alternatively to that, which could better describe what we actually are. And
Yes.
that's the thing, really. So that's what leads me into channeling, though. So to me, I've seen channeling happen before. Ultimately, as we are channeling our identity right here, who's to say we can't invite another member to speak through us? So,
Yes.
yeah, I see you're ready to go. So yeah, fire away.
Well, what I was gonna say was about death is like, I'm so on your page. Like, I
Yes,
would
yes.
love for people to start talking about death as a transition. It's a
Mm,
transition. We are eternal. You're not dying. I'm not dying. We are going to live on as a conscious awareness beyond this plane, beyond this lifetime. And death is a transition. It's not an end. I mean,
mhm,
even just talking to the amount of I've interviewed people that have done entire books on near death experiences. I've talked to people who have had near death experiences. Some of my own friends in my own life had a near
mm.
death experience. My own grandma, who was like a religious fanatic, had a near death experience.
Oh
And
gosh.
it's death is not where our existence ends. And I would love for our society, I probably one of the greatest gifts that I've received during my spiritual awakening was losing my fear of death. And when you lose your fear of death and you
Mm,
start understanding that you've had many lives, that earth is more like a school than a one and done scenario, that there's no heaven and hell, that is not something that exists. It's all about
mm,
love. You're from love, you go back to love, and that bad things happen, lower vibrational things happen, people make decisions. And that's why we have something called karma, because no one's going to escape karma. It's one of the universal laws. So you are given the free will to make whatever decision that you make in this plane.
mm.
It is
Yeah.
also going to be something that you will never escape. Meaning, if you come down to this plane and you are abusive of your power, or you know, manipulate other people, or whatever kind of bad behavior you want to say, just know this: in your next incarnation, you will be abused, you will be manipulated, you will have to face the other side of your own actions when it comes to being whoever you're going to be in your incarnation. So
Mhm.
I'm very much more cognizant of how I treat other people now. I try. I'm not perfect. I'm learning. I have my own, practice of doing things, and I fall back and I get better and all that. But I am much more conscious of my emotions, of what I'm saying, of how I'm treating people. And to lose the fear of death It's a blessing. At the end of the day, we should all be taking this life a little less seriously in a way. It's just an experience. It's not the only life experience I've had. This is not the only life experience you've had. And we are going to come back here and have other experiences until we ascend to a higher plane and move out of 3D and up to other dimensions. What do you think about interdimensionalness, parallel lives, time? What are your
Oh
thoughts there?
yes,
Oh boy.
that's something I've been slowly kind of getting into in the last few years. The idea that we perceive time as linear from left to
Yeah,
right, start to finish, etc. Why on earth, when if you enter the other side, where we eventually go to, where we come from, there is no time. Why on earth would you follow a certain linear path if you're outside of time? So that's where this whole kind of interdimensional aspect of it
yeah,
becomes. So when we connect to other beings, are they from? To us, we may perceive them as being from different times, but they're not. They're from no time, and that's where I had this channeling experience a few years ago. And do you mind me telling you really quickly?
no, please. I love
Just
channeling experiences.
it's just because you mentioned. I mean, I'd love to hear yours in a moment, but my first experience channeling, I went into it being just like you, thinking I'm not so sure about it. Basically, I'm not not exactly not believing, but it just seems almost too good to be true, like maybe Hollywood style
Yeah.
kind of moment, really. So a friend of mine, he's son of a really good medium, and one of the mediums was actually on this podcast a while ago. She's one of the best mediums I've ever met, actually, and her son has a similar gift, and he's such a lovely guy. I was practicing with him when I began to accept my spiritual side, my mediumistic side, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to do channeling for this session," and he said, "Okay, just don't say a word. I'm just going to get into the right moment, invite the right energy, and just sit for a moment." And I thought, just nothing's going to happen. He just went quiet for a moment, and then I'd say for about a couple of minutes, like I could hear him breathing faster and faster. I thought, okay, should I check him out? Is he okay? Is he safe? But then he started to speak, and it sounded like a completely different voice. Like this was a man. He sounded almost female, but old female, if that makes sense. It's like a gutturalness, but a different tone to the way his voice would normally sound. And he started speaking what sounded like Egyptian, but like some modified version of Egyptian. And basically, it eventually started to speak elements of English, and it introduced itself as Isis, the god Isis. And I thought, really, is Isis an actual god? I thought this was just like to me at the time, a made up god like Thor and various others. Anyway, to not insult others, I thought, is Isis a real god? Is this more of a cultural thing? But no, like the weirdest thing was once it started to speak, I felt the whole room. It's like gravity dropped. It's like everything got really heavy. The room got very cold, and we could start to see our breath. And this was like the middle of summer, by the way. We could start to see our breath coming, and I thought, okay, this seems real. What's going on? Okay, well, just play along and don't panic. It's like my mum taught me, don't wake a sleepwalker. So just play along. So it could be that he could be asleep and just dreaming this. Maybe but something about this felt like it wasn't a dream. It definitely wasn't a dream. So yeah, I started to speak to it and asked it, who it was again, just to reaffirm that, and where did they come from, and I asked them, what does life mean? But what happened from that point is everything conveniently went blank. I have no memory of the conversation I had with it. All I knew was I was speaking to it, and it sounded like it was speaking English. But the sounds I could remember hearing up to the point where I began to forget, it sounded like another language. But how did I understand what it was? But I think we're talking for a good half an hour. I thought we'd actually spent 10 minutes doing this because it went by so quickly. Then I realized that all this time went by and I have no memory. I just blanked out. And when I came to towards the end of this conversation, he was beginning to kind of wake up, and he said to me, "Are we going to start yet? Did it work? Is it?" And I said, "Yeah, you've just been talking for apparently half an hour, and I thought it was just a few minutes." And like we were just both shocked. And I thought then, like, okay, there's something to this, and I could just say, okay, well, even though he's my friend, I could say, okay, maybe he's acting, maybe he's making it up. I've known him for years and years, so many years. He's not the kind of guy to do that. Though it doesn't mean anybody, basically anybody can do that, of course. But he's not the kind of guy to do that because his mum put so much energy into her work. He's not going to, defame her by doing that. but something about the whole experience just stayed with me for weeks after. Like, I felt like I met something so immensely powerful. Like for a good 2 or 3 days, I was buzzing with energy. Like I couldn't sleep for days. It's like I had like a massive caffeine hit, and
Yes.
it annoys me to this day that I completely cannot remember the conversation I had with Isis as it presented itself. It didn't feel bad as well. It didn't feel like ultra good or high vibration. Neither did it feel bad. It felt so, like I mentioned to you before about the entity that I met during my NDE experience. It felt big. It felt vast. It felt immensely old, like it always has been. So, see, I'm of the mind where I would say it is possible. I have literally seen it face to face. I've met something. It may have been ISIS, may have been something else. But either way, I know it can be done. I've never dared to do it myself. But ultimately, I'll remind myself, am I not channeling Stan right now? Are you not channeling Christy?
Yeah.
We're channeling something, otherwise we're
Yeah.
just an empty vessel. So, yeah. Anyway, you go ahead. What's your story?
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say
What are your
one more thing
thoughts?
under what you were saying was,
Yeah, go for it.
as far as like, where our thoughts come from, you know, we could go down the other rabbit hole of the fact that there is a global consciousness that
Hmm.
our brains aren't the originator of our thoughts. Science can't explain what is the originator of our thoughts, but they can't pinpoint in the brain, oh, yeah, this thought comes from this place in the brain. The brain seems to be more about mechanical stuff, breathing, automated stuff, whatever,
Hmm.
processing our 3D reality, see, touch, our five senses, and all that stuff. But as far as formulating ideas, our creativity, all of that stuff, the other thing that has really ramped up in my life since my spiritual awakening is that I'm so much more creative. I'm so much more creative because I'm
Yeah,
so much more in
same.
touch. I mean, it's nuts. Oh, like you like big time. But like I am so much more creative and I have so much more creative energy. And I think that I want to say it's maybe because you're more conscious, more in touch with the divine, more in touch with, your spirit side, that you're able to gain access to a higher level of creativity in a way. I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs. But
Creativity is a vibration. I think there is a source that people like Michelangelo, Leonardo, all the greats tapped into something that's
yes,
beyond our current processor. You know,
I mean, you could even say somebody like Taylor Swift, who like has these
yeah.
one after another just amazing songs pour out of her. She might be, maybe she is connected to some other higher creative whatever. Like I often
Mm.
think artists and song and singers and everything like that, at some point, these songs, these melodies, all of this inspiration comes from somewhere that is not in our brain. It's coming from an ulterior dimension, force, vibration, whatever you want to call it. It's coming from elsewhere that we are connecting to it energetically, and it is something that even the name of my podcast. I was walking my dog down the street, and in my head I heard this: you should do a podcast, and it should be called "From Atheism to Enlightenment." And I said
Mm.
out loud on the walk, "That's an amazing like that, what a great name, like I didn't come up with that name. Somebody gave it to me though. And that somebody who gave me that name and kind of pushed me in that direction has also, I I think that's also why it's flowed so easy for me, and I don't ask guests and people come to me because I'm supposed to be doing this. And I think when you pay attention to the universe and start allowing things. I listen to my heart center more. I listen to my intuition. I sit in silence a lot more. I feel like I get my best ideas when I am calm, when I'm centered, when I'm grounded, when I'm in silence. I get amazing ideas and concepts that I'm like, oh, where did I come up with that? I literally have a
Mm.
recorder
Mm.
that I
Yeah,
talk to into now that I'm like, oh, this is a
yeah.
great idea. Da, 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 da. But I think that when you start paying attention to the other energy, the other vibrations, and you start understanding consciousness and how to kind of tap in more, I think the universe starts speaking back to you. And I think you'll,
Yeah.
you'll, things will start occurring in your life that will line up with who you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to be, I don't think our logical brains were supposed to guide us. I think our intuition that we ignore is supposed to guide us. Our internal navigation system that everybody possessed, that is your heart center head. That's what you're supposed to feel into. And unfortunately, in today's society, the way our economies run, the way society is run, I think we're all just distracted by a bunch of bullshit that doesn't matter, and we're unable to disconnect from the TV, the computer, our stress, work, kids, whatever, and find that inner space which will allow us to really step into who we're supposed to be. Everybody has a soul path down here. Everybody has things that they're supposed to achieve. And I don't think anybody is able to recognize that within themselves because of the way society is set up in general.
I 100% agree with that, because it's like when you're tapping into that, ultimately you're channeling something as well. You're channeling either higher self or the creator. I mean, I'm still questioning as to whether I believe in a God or not. I don't know, but I know there's something far more vast than what we are, but maybe something else made that entity, and something else made that entity, and so on. But the same reasons, basically, I get that feeling sometimes where I have something in my head and it's bugging me all the time. It could be like the middle of the night, basically. I can't go to sleep until I get this thing down. It's just going to tap me on the shoulders. It's going to irritate me as much as it can until I finally let this thing out. And I'm able to come up with ideas. I've had done ever since my accident when I was a kid, when I had the NDE, and been able to easily pull ideas out of absolutely nowhere. And I don't know how it works. And there was a period of like a few years ago where I kind of lost the power for a bit because I was going through a lot of change, like the pandemic and self-doubt. And it's like when you bring your vibration down, you begin to shut off from that. And it was at one point where I realized, actually, I can't move forward in my evolution until I accept, a past situation, like, a lot of the trauma that came from my childhood and unfortunately the things that I witnessed when I was a kid that no kid should ever see. I've never fully truly accepted it though, and now, like, I'm 40 now, so it kind of, that process really started when I was about 38, and it took all those years. Now, this happened when I was 5, just to give you an idea of how long time passed. It took me that long for me to go, okay, I think I'm ready to finally deal with that now and forgive myself, forgive the person that injured me when I was a kid, that treated me like I was nothing, and forgive the police that didn't do the job that they should have done to protect me, and the court system that failed me, because I was just a poor kid, literally poor, so we couldn't afford a great lawyer. And I was run over by an Oxford University professor who had lots of money to pay for a nice big fat lawyer that could stop him paying too much money, all that kind of things. I never actually accepted all of that and just lived my life with all the aches and pains that came with the accident. Like I say, when I began to break through that negative vibration that I was going through then, I began to just suddenly get creative again. I could do stuff really easily. And that's when my book Paranormality came to be, really, because I was ready to finally tell this scary story that I kind of kept to myself, and only my very closest friends and family know my story. And I kept it very kind of, hush-hush, really, because I don't want my employers or outside friends or social groups or whatever to judge me for it. And I just started writing a book, and I have no idea how to write, but it happened. So, sorry, Christy, go ahead.
It flows. Well, no, what I was going to say is that's the other thing about coming out and being
yes
as vocal as, like, say, I'm being about the nature. Like, a lot of people would think what I was saying was that I'm absolutely out of my mind bonkers, that I've lost it, that I'm out of touch, that she's weird, like all of these things. Now, thankfully, I'm kind of Teflon with what other people think about me. Like, I that's their business. Like, whatever, I don't care.
You need to be. You need to be. Yeah.
That's your journey, bro. Whatever, But a lot of people, are prevented from exploring ulterior ways of thinking and being because of the immense social pressure that everybody has on them to think alike, to be alike, to think more mainstream, to be a part of an organized religion. I mean, gosh, most of the people in the world are a part of some organized religion or are not or believe in, one of the organized religions gods or whatever, and to be not in line or in step with that kicks you out of your tribe. And
It
a lot
does.
of people
Yeah.
have a huge fear of losing their tribe or not being a part of the in group. Ridiculous social pressure out there to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I've spent so much energy trying to be in the clique, as they tend to
Yeah.
use that phrase nowadays, and it's never worked. I mean, I remember my time back at college. I kind of just finished secondary school, like spent years getting bullied, and just I thought, okay, fresh start and all that, and I thought I'd reinvent myself. So I spent like 2 weeks as a goth. I spent 2 weeks as a punk. I spent like about a month as but over here we have the phrase townie, but we don't tend to use the word townie anymore. So basically, townie is somebody who wears like whatever popular culture wears at that time, anyway. So it could be like back then it was like tracksuits and having your hair gelled in a certain way. And I tried to be all these different people to try and get people to accept me, but nobody would have any of it. And when I was myself, they wouldn't have that either. And I thought, okay, well, why do I spend so much of my time trying to be other people? Be the way that other people want me to be, when I'm never going to get the results I need. If I'm just at least myself, then at least I'm getting something back for me. And that's where, like I say, with me writing that book, I went, okay, I've held back for so long. I've had enough of just being something that the world wants me to be. I'm going to write my story. And like I say, I'm a graphic designer. I have no idea how to write. I just woke up one day, I thought, I know how to write. And yeah, it worked. I wrote a book within a few days. It just came out.
Yeah,
And
like pour it out
on
of
top
you.
of that, like, oh, exactly, yeah. But it's like, again, bringing that power. So I thought, okay, well, I wrote the book. No one's going to want to publish this book, but I'll try it anyway. But at least I thought to myself, in my positive way, at least I wrote the book. That I'm happy with that. That's my good thing. I'm glad that I did that. Then about a couple of months later, I was offered an opportunity with a publisher who is now going to publish my book worldwide. Like I said, I don't have a reputation as an author. I don't have any background in that, but they believe in me enough, and they believe in the story enough to do that. And how lucky am I that I had the opportunity? And with that came this podcast. The podcast title, which I find very hard to say, and I won't say it again now, of all things for me to call it. On top of that, with me mentioning that, I do have a slight speech impediment that makes me a bit hard to speak sometimes. And that comes with my accident too, because as I came out of my experience, a changed person, the way my brain works was very, very different. Like everything is ultra, ultra fast. So for this poor mouth to catch up, it's so hard to learn how to speak. So this podcast has forced me to slow down and start taking my time with things and get this brain to work with my mouth a bit better. So it can also be a great example to show other people that other people can learn to do these kind of things and overcome their issues.
Yes.
So like I say, once I switched on that light bulb, suddenly everything started to happen like bing, 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 bing. And everybody has the power. So I spent all those years giving my power to other people for acceptance.
Yes.
Believe me, trust me, give me your approval. I took all of that back and thought, no, I approve myself. I believe in myself.
Yeah.
Love everybody else, but they're on their own path. And I'm on mine. I should stop giving my energy away to people that don't appreciate it or understand it.
Yes.
And now I've been educating other people through this process. So yeah, it's been amazing. I'm going to be on some more podcasts soon as well, sharing my story. And like I say, if I never did this, I wouldn't be speaking to you now, Christy. I wouldn't have had that amazing opportunity to be on your podcast. And it was it was a revelation when I was on there. So yeah, thank you for that.
I definitely want to have you back. You have more stories in you to tell.
I have a much bigger story to share you. Yes, I've only told you a tiny, tiny bit of it.
Yeah. So 2026, my friend, we're going to have to make it happen. I mean, my journey with the show, it has been so fulfilling for me. It has been I've learned so much because I really do talk to such a wide variety of people that are from every single spiritual discipline, as far as whether they're an energy healer, they're a philosopher, they're a medium, they channel, it really runs the gamut. People that, aliens. I mean, I think aliens are going to be here in the next 2 to 5 years, folks. They're coming down here. It's going to happen.
They're already here. They've been here for thousands of years. Believe it or not.
Exactly. Thank you. That ship is about to land. Heads up.
Yeah, in the media, yeah,
Yeah. You know,
totally.
it is weird because, it's such everybody I know, I feel like right now at this time in our existence is going through a lot of challenges. I'm going
Mm.
through challenges. The movie industry moved over to like Europe and England, and I'm been out of
Yeah,
work.
sorry about that.
Yeah. What the
It's
hell,
plain words, isn't
Stan?
it?
What the hell? So I've been struggling with my own stuff, plus my health is up and down. I'm always looking for my next healing. But everybody I know is going through something. It's just a difficult time right now in our history, and I think it's dense and heavy with negativity. Everyone seems to be outraged and fearful and worried and stressed. And I think if more people understood they have more power to create their own circumstances than they give themselves credit for, that it can literally change the global consciousness and raise the vibration of this planet and allow us
Yeah,
to be not living in such a dense, heavy, negative vibration, which I think the earthly plane very much is in a lower vibrational frequency at this point. And, if I could give anybody advice, I would say number one, it starts within. You have to start doing the work. You have to start doing inner healing child work like you have done with all your trauma, with like I have been
mm.
doing with my own trauma. If you don't heal and learn how to understand and feel your emotions and understand about who you are and the nature of reality and that we're all connected. And I'll give you my theory and what I think God is. Do you want to hear what I think God is?
Go for it.
This is what I think. I think God, if you want to call him God or source or universal,
Yahweh.
whatever, Yahweh, name it. I think God is the energetic field that has created literally everything, every single universe, every single planet, every single person, plant, animal. God lives in it all. God is consciousness. God is love. God is a vibration of creation, of love. We are from God. We go back to God, and that is love.
Mm.
And I don't think God is somebody who's judging you up there, every little thing you do. We get pumped full of like, well, if God knew you were doing that, he'd punish you. No, that's not really how it works. It is, we get sold a story from the time we get here that if you're not good, if you're not this, you're going to go to hell, and God's watching you. And it's a detriment to society in general. It's not true. And it doesn't allow us to see the divine within. We are all divine. We're all fractals of God, a being of light. We never die. We have many incarnations. We are consciousness.
Mm.
Everything is conscious. Everything is conscious. The rock is conscious. The plants are conscious. The animals are conscious. Everything's conscious. And I don't think
Yeah,
human beings fully are aware or understand that consciousness really is the key to everything. Everything.
absolutely.
And scene.
But I think that's the perfect way to round off this big conversation, really. I mean, I want to ask
I
you as well,
mean,
like, your predictions. Do you think Trump will disclose what he already knows?
well, I think that most governments on this planet are about pumping as much fear and distracting us with as much outrage and lack of true understanding to prevent ourselves from even understanding what and who we are. That I think when it comes to what's coming up is that there's going to be false flags, if you will, that would bring about a lot of fear surrounding anything that would be referred to as an alien or an interdimensional being, that they're here to destroy us. Like every single
Yeah.
Hollywood movie is never like, maybe
Yeah.
E.T., like every single, like they're here to destroy us. They're here to like whatever. I think that aliens, and I also think there's it's so layered, because it's like there's aliens, there's interdimensional beings that I think are outside of time, that are
Hmm.
exist on many different levels or
Yeah.
planes or dimensions. Think that because here is how I think aliens exist and then show themselves
Mm.
to us and doesn't. And this is my theory, and I don't care. It's my theory. I think that the why alien beings are able to show themselves at some point, whether they be UFO, UAPs, whatever, and then they vanish and split away like in seconds, like, and we're like, wow, that's
Yeah.
technology that's far above us. What I think they're doing is I think they are tuning into our vibration. And so we can see them in this reality. And then when they leave, they're using their vibration. And we don't see them anymore because they project themselves back to whatever dimension or area that they were. I think
I've
it's
heard people say that.
everything. I think
Yeah.
everything is energy. Everything is vibration. Quantum mechanics will tell you we are mostly air. The slit experiment, which everybody
Yes.
knows about, proves that nothing exists until our own energy intention eyeball something and then it comes to life. We do create what we see. And, you know, as we venture down the future, I think we're going to really become aware that we are not the only ones here in the universe, in the galaxies. It doesn't, statistically, it's impossible that we're the only species
Yes.
around anyway. It's just statistically impossible. There's trillions of galaxies and it's endless and whatever, and there's universes and whatever. There are other beings that are far beyond us technologically and otherwise. They're more evolved, they're higher dimensional. They I was interviewing this gentleman, and I read his book, and he channels a being called, or he was listening to somebody channel a being named Ramuth. And one of the things that Ramuth
I
said
spoke
that
to
I
him.
thought,
Yes.
yeah, Brad.
Good
One
old
of the
Brad.
things,
Yes.
yeah, Brad. One of the things that Brad said was Ramuth was like, it's one of the weird things that we humans accept is that having we're not a species that thinks that having it just enough is enough. We need to have so much more than
Mm.
you will ever need, and somehow we look upon that as like the goal. And he's like, no, everybody else, like when you have enough, it's enough. But here down in this plane, we're super greedy, we're super
Mm.
unevolved, we're super violent, we're super barbaric, we still do
Yeah.
wars. I think there's many other civilizations out there that are so far advanced beyond doing things like war and brutality and violence. And they live in a much more harmony, peace, joy, and they understand who they are. They do. And we do not.
Absolutely. I'm of the belief that there is a lot more out there, and for so
Yes.
many reasons. I mean, it's something I've always felt as a little boy. There was so much more. I mean, that was my spiritual connection, but I knew there are other people out there. And I just always had this feeling that there were people that it's almost like there's a race that's so advanced that it's. I don't mean to put down the reasons why we have war right now, though, but they're too intelligent for war. Like as a society, they've evolved beyond, have understood each other better, have evolved beyond tribalism,
Yeah.
beyond greed and ownership. And the concept of ownership to them is just it's known, but it hasn't been believed in for a millennia. So I do believe there is a lot more out there, and there's so much more evidence that's kind of happening right now. Like people are waking up to this, and this whole
Yes.
disclosure movement. I know it's been going on for a long time now, but I do believe we're hitting the peak now because
Yes.
it seems like humanity is ready for it. Hence
Yes.
why there's all these different things in the media because they're going, okay, well, the ball's going to bolt. Basically, it's going to bolt out the gate. We can't put the ball back in, but we can divert the
Yes.
direction.
Yep.
And I do honestly believe, it's just basic logic. Okay, if a race is so immensely advanced and able to travel a tremendous distance, they're going to have so much power behind them that they can, dissolve a planet within a nanosecond. The fact that they even arrived here, have traveled so far without destroying us, immediately shows their intention.
Yep.
It's just basic logic. That's not a guaranteed answer, but that's simple. So yeah, go
I
for it. Sorry.
mean, I think it runs the gamut, just like with everything else. I think you have malevolent and benevolent alien species out there. I think you have lower vibrational species out there, and I think you have higher vibrational species out there. But I think at the end of the day, there's many. From what I understand, there's an entire federation out there that is trying to get us to awaken to who we are. Also, from what I understand, there is a lower vibrational entity that is here on this plane with us that has the bulk of the control over humanity, and they do whatever they can to keep us in a low vibrational state, distract us from finding out we're co-creators of our reality. I mean, can you imagine if people really understood that we were much more powerful than we really are when we understand the true nature of our reality, and that we are co-creators, and that we do our vibration, what we think, what we believe actually can transform matter, because that's ultimately what happens. Your mind, your thoughts, your words end up as matter on this plane. And when you look at it like that, you can only imagine what we could create if we decided to evolve to that higher dimensional way of being, where we got rid of this crazy economic system that keeps everybody in lack and in a state of scarcity and a state of fear. I mean, most of the systems that we have set up in society are to keep us controlled, distracted, fearful, and they don't, and they're failing everywhere. I mean, you are so correct when you say people are starting to look outside of the normal institutions, outside of government, and they're starting to understand that what we have been told just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it's breaking apart now. That's for sure, because people were kind of God-fearing for so long, and I do hope there is a place for religion in some way in the future. With it kind of hopefully returning to its original state, not the manufactured state, but generally, I think people are beginning to realize actually we can't have spent all of our existence constantly like on our knees, essentially. And yeah, there are certain benefits to living in this day and age, like compared to say 1,000 years ago.
Right.
But ultimately, it still falls down to the fact that our understanding of our place in the universe is highly limited. And but even so, like you mentioned about the craft, like seemingly like being in so advanced and traveling great distances and such. I always think about the experiment. It's actually, of all films, there's a film called Lucy. It's a terrible action film, but loads of fun to watch. Just to sort of remind you, this lady's able to take a drug of some sort which allows her to use 100% of her brain. Has Morgan Freeman in it, of course. I mean, naturally. Yeah, but basically, there's an explanation in that film which fascinates me, because she is able to evolve to a certain level of consciousness where she's able to explain how kind of extraterrestrial or basically like magic would appear to a human. And there's an experiment of this car, basically, like it shows this video clip of this car traveling down the road, and it plays it again, second time, slightly faster, and it gets faster and faster and faster. But the car reaches such a speed, it looks like there's nothing there. And that's the thing about vibration, basically. When you're at such high vibration, imagine something moving so fast. It is literally there, but you cannot see it because you haven't raised yourself. If you're able to raise your vibration, able to see this, a fast, it's almost like a higher frame rate if you think about film.
Yes.
If you think if you're going from like 24 frames per second to say 60 or 120 and so on, once you see this higher and higher vibrations, you begin to see more about the function of the universe. And these people that, or beings that have evolved so much, you begin to understand how they've evolved because they're running at a higher frame rate. I think that's the best equivalent, really. And I think that film, of all the science in there, that's completely incorrect. I think that particular reference is actually very clever. It's a good way to explain it to a layman like myself, really.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's still a great film. I recommend anybody watch it. It's loads of fun if you switch off your brain anyway. But yeah, but I just, compared to the way I was many years ago, like I used to be like a really angry kid. I was bullied severely. Like I had a dad who's just not a nice person, let's just say, and a stepdad who's also not a nice person. I had so many kind of tragedies and horrible things happen, and I began to think that like, why was I born just to experience all these things? Because I feel like I haven't evolved, I haven't moved on. I'm still trying to make my way into my design career that I dreamed of doing, and being just treated at least the modicum of respect and dignity, and for people to start speaking down to me and speaking to me in a way that, you know, they assume that I'm thick, basically, just because of the way I look or act. It's because they're now so angry and I was so timid as well in the way that I spoke to people. When I went through that whole process, my whole demeanor changed, like my vibration massively increased. I saw the people that I were so angry about and wanted justice for. I didn't just pity them, because I don't want to sound patronizing. I don't mean to come across that way, but I saw beyond the entire experience. Okay, well, what came with them before? What led them to be that way? How do you think they felt after? How does this affect the greater social structure around that position? What's the greater message in all this? It's like everything like leveled out, and that's where you become this evolved person. And you know, I'm still not fully evolved yet. You know, there's a long way for me to go, like
Me
we all do,
neither.
really.
Yeah.
But I broke free of that old way of being, old way
Yeah.
of thinking. So
I definitely have changed dramatically myself through my, I mean, I didn't, you know, we had different levels of trauma, different things happened to us. I still, I believe that, you know, my own healing or my own health issues was always supposed to happen to me. It was supposed to be what awakened me in this lifetime. Not everyone
yeah,
awakens in every single lifetime. You need some sort of something to kind of push you over the edge. But just like me, I think that every single thing, every trial that you have gone through, every hard experience was always placed there for a reason.
mm.
And I think it's going to lead you. Like I feel, Stan, that you are going to go on and be one of the premier speakers about reality and interdimensional, and the fact that you had this really paranormal experience that, not, I know it was traumatic for you, but like in a way I'm jealous, because like I have not experienced
I wouldn't wish it on
anything,
anyone.
you know.
There's a
I
reason why
mean,
my hair doesn't stay down. You see, like it's been on end ever since. Really, like I've been combing it for years. It genuinely doesn't stay down. But yeah, it's not just genetics.
well, I mean, I don't know your whole story yet, so you're gonna have to come on and fill me in on
I
my
will do.
show,
Yeah,
you know. But I do think it's all here for a reason. It's all happening for a reason. And I think that you're overcoming the challenges that you were meant to overcome. And I think that I'm doing the same. And
you are
I
indeed.
just,
Yeah,
I know we can't all awaken, but I do want people to start really understanding that they are more powerful than they think they are, and that there's so much more going on within our reality that we are ever told or taught. And I love exploring all of those things on my show. What is the nature? What are we doing here? Like, what are our souls? How does the structure of our reality really work? What happens when we die? You know, it's all a mystery. It's all magical. It's all mystical. And I think that it is absolutely fascinating. So I am wishing you all the success in the world, my friend. You deserve it.
no, I appreciate that, Christy, and well, you too as well. Like I say,
Thanks.
being a medium, I can see where you're going anyway, and it's all good things. That's definitely for sure.
God, I
But
hope
no,
so, because
it's going to work out. Don't worry, because things tend to fall under you, and things change. But yeah, I do kind of hate the old phrase about one door closes, another door opens, kind of thing. But it is kind of that way in some situations. It's like you're never fully, you're not always backed into a corner. You're often given an opportunity to
I feel like
take
I'm back
things
into
one
a
step
corner
forward.
now. Yeah. I
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
like not to get too personal on the show, but I am at the back end of my money, dude. Like I need a movie job like you wouldn't believe. And I keep these these are the challenging times that I have in my life now that I know that I need to live in the moment. That is where your power resides, is in the
Yeah.
moment. And in this moment, I'm having a fantastic conversation with you. My bills are paid. There's a roof over my head. All is well. I need to stay right here. But if I look down to next month and I start asking myself, well, how am I going to pay my mortgage? A little bit of freaking out anxiety starts creeping in with me, you know?
Yeah.
So it's at a challenging part because I do believe that I'm creating my own reality. I do believe that if I stay in the vibration and I say and think and feel good things, that good things will come. But I am like banging on this door to open. Like I'm ready for my next like iteration in life. Let's go. Cause like the movie industry is not happening anymore. Not for me. Not anymore.
I'll see if I can help you sort of find a way forward, and pass on any knowledge that I may gain from my guide.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been there. I've had things pulled from under me for the most ridiculous reasons, really, like feeling like, okay, well, what am I going to do? I don't have enough money to pay the mortgage. Like, I need to really wrap this up really quick. But I've pulled myself into situations where I've actually got a much better job out of it, like where they treat me with respect, dignity. Same happened to my wife recently. Like, she'd been loyal to a company for many, many years. And suddenly, out of the blue, okay, we don't need you anymore. Goodbye. No, nothing. No, thanks. No, just done. And she thought, okay, what am I going to do? Because I haven't had an interview for so many years. I don't even know how to do interviews. So she just heads out and thinks, okay, I'm going to apply for the one job that is the most exciting to me. I'm going to put all of my energy into it. I'm going to feed in all that positivity. About 2 days later, invited to an interview. About a week later, got the job, ready to start. Magic. Like, it could have gone
I
so much
mean,
worse for her, but she went into it positive. And the same with me. When I lost things, I went into it with like a metric ton, like a nuclear bomb of positive energy, and it works. People reciprocate. They say, actually, this guy like has no doubt. They clearly believe in themselves, and you clearly do believe in yourself as well. And I think that's how people kind of bounce off of you, though. So I do see good things coming for you. So don't worry too much. It'll be okay, really.
I mean, I am holding on for dear life. And I have had so many mediums, astrologers, psychics say this, you're going to have a big platform, another thing they say is you have fame energy. You just have to be bold. And it's like, I'm trying to be
You,
bold, but like, I don't
you
know,
do.
man, you know?
You have what John has. Like John, he was on my second episode. You have that energy. Like he's a very chilled out, very relaxed guy, but you both have the same vibration where you make things happen. It's like with him, like he's been on a long journey, and it's his positive attitude, him working really hard and training and just being as helpful as he can be and kind to people. Like he's now working in Hollywood. I mean, like how amazing is that? He's a guy that I literally used to work with at college, many years ago. And here he is doing that. I'm so proud of him, and I'm proud
Yeah.
of all my friends who go out to do these things. Like bless them. Like, but it's just about your attitude, really. That attitude makes reality, and that's why I'm less of a grump now. I'm still a bit of a grump sometimes. I do wake up a bit, in a mood. That's just part of my character, really, though. But really, like, I am able to push myself into that higher vibration, and when I do, things change. Things really do happen. And
Wow.
weirdly enough, through my kind of when I do a vibration shift, really, I meet people out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've ever told you this. Really, just before we finish, I'll tell you this really short story. Like, this is how great mediums are. They're so weird, but it works. I went to a car boot. We ran a car boot the other day, and for yourself, if you don't know what car boot is, it's like a yard sale, basically. Like you sell things out of a car boot, so we call it car boot over here.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah, so we were doing that, and I was just setting up with my kids and all that, and we had this like a moose that we put on the wall, and this moose, it's not a real moose, it's like a pretend one though, but it's just like a funny looking thing, and I've looked at it for years. It just puts a smile on my face, and we had to get rid of it because we just needed room, and yeah. So I put it on the table, thinking, I just don't want to let go of this thing, and I really hope whoever has this is really going to enjoy it. They're going to be happy. And the weirdest thought came into my head, and it said, "I'm calling this Steve. I'm going to tell." Basically, something told me to tell a story about it being called Steve, and I've been calling it Steve for about 10 years, which isn't true. I haven't called it Steve for 10 years, but for some reason, I felt like I needed to say it. I thought that's a bit weird. Like, Why would I say it to a complete stranger? And weirdly enough, about 2 minutes later, after I had that weird thought, this old man walked to our stall and he looked really sad, really down. And something in me felt really sorry for him. Like I just wanted to give him a big hug, but I'm not going to hug a complete stranger because I'm British and we're very uptight. So rather than doing that, he came to our stall and I just felt safe to say to him, and I just blurted it out, "Oh, you're looking at the moose?" I said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, it's really good." And I said, "Oh, the moose is called Steve, do you know?" And Steve, I've had Steve for about 10 years. I always wave hello to him every time I walk out the front door. I said, "Oh, that's really funny. My name's Steve too." I said, "Are you serious?" And he immediately brightened up, like a big smile came out of his face, and he was just like elevated like that. He said, "Okay, I'm going to buy Steve." I said, "Okay." I said, "How much is it?" I said, "I have no idea, quite frankly, because my wife keeps the records anyway." But anyway, it was like, was it £2 or something? And I picked it up, and I remember the look on his face. He had the biggest fat smile on his face. He just walked off with Steve. Like, so Steve took Steve away. And
Yes.
that's the weird thing about how mediums work. Like, it just, an idea comes into your head, and you know to say the right thing to the right person at the right
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I felt like he had a story to tell that day. I wasn't going to ask him to tell that story because, it's private, but I felt like maybe I was just one of the many people that day maybe helped him on his way. But
Yeah.
bless him. So wherever you are out there, Steve, I hope you're having a great time with Steve, and you wave
Yeah.
hello every
I
day. But yeah,
I mean, that voice that you're listening to, like, I think you hear it louder because you are more sensitive, you are more in touch with that, spidey sense, if you
yeah,
will. But
yeah.
that
It's
is
warned me
really,
about a few people as well, and it's been right, very right.
it's always right. It will never steer you wrong. And that really is the voice that we all should be practicing to listen to, is our life, our heart center, our voice that will guide us throughout this life. And instead of externalizing everything, that all your powers out here and everything you needed out here, a lot of what we need to know is already in there. We just don't know how to listen to it. I'm learning how to listen to it myself. Like, I don't hear
Yes,
it as well as you do, but I definitely listen to my inner gut, my inner feeling more, because that will never steer you wrong, ever. It's never wrong.
absolutely. I think you've shared a lot of lessons in this episode.
I'm
Actually, it's been like very learning, like an episode full of learning. It's been like a university of spiritual education. So yeah, no,
I
bless you.
mean,
I think you've done a great job. So no, thank you so much for being a part of this tonight. It's just it's always
oh,
lovely to speak to you.
Stan, it's always a pleasure. Like, I feel like we will be, in each other's zones from here on out. Like, I do feel like the spiritual community is a little incestuous and small in a way. Like, there's a lot of overlap. And I think that
Yes.
we'll be running in the same circles from here on out, my friend. And you will always have a spot on my show anytime you want to come in. You're much more entertaining than me because I don't have all the spiritual or the paranormal
Yeah.
experiences.
So I
But I,
speak a lot of nonsense. I do share some really weird stories as well. Like my humor's quite dry. Like people can't always tell if I'm joking or not, which is hilarious to me. But yeah, I'll do that
I
for you.
mean, you come on anytime. And I did spew a lot of knowledge out to your audience, and,
Yes,
but it is, it's out there, folks. You should go and find it, get on your path, and start figuring out who you are, what your soul mission is, and take your power back. You are a co-creator, my friend. There is not anything that you cannot do. It is all existing in the now. You just have to align your vibration with it and pull it in.
absolutely. That's perfect note to end on there. And so yeah, so that's Christy Busby. So again, I just want to let the guys know. So that's the Fate podcast, from atheism to enlightenment, and recommend that you guys give it a subscribe, follow. And well, there's a whole library of people that you've spoken to over the last couple of years. Anyway, like just
Oh,
take a
yeah.
pick of who you want to speak
Just
to. But
go through the catalog and pick out whatever resonates with you. If it doesn't resonate with you,
totally,
don't click on it. If it does, check it out.
it's as simple as that. Then, okay. Well, you guys watching, I hope that has given you some positivity. Like if you're going through something challenging yourself, like you're going through that transitional stage, you could be in your cocoon moment, ready to blossom out as a butterfly down the end. They always say it's always darkest before the dawn. All these old sayings. Ultimately, it's that pressure point which then catalyzes your next growth. And that's when you begin to be awakened and you get that power back. And it's an amazing path we're all on, really. So yeah, thank you again, Christy. And I'm definitely going to end the episode now because my voice is beginning to run out, so I have a terrible cold.
Giving a voice to those without a choice, sharing dreams and blowing off steam. We'll lend you a hand, we'll let you stand, sharing stories about the unknown. Paranormal perspectives, we're here to inspect it. I'm a small, not a medium. Let us escape from this tedium, learning from each other, breaking barriers, a message of hope, birthed from the unknown. Who you gonna call? I'm not a ghostbuster, no proton packs, just crossing streams of knowledge. It's not so scary when things get hairy. It's not the paranormal, just future normal. Breaking barriers, no longer the carrier, releasing the fear and replacing it with knowledge. Understanding each other, we uncover a whole new point of view within you. Paranormal perspectives, we're here to inspect it. I'm a small, not a medium. Let us escape from this tedium, learning from each other, breaking barriers, a message of hope, birthed from the unknown. The only stream we need to cross is the platforms to get the message across. Knowing each other, sister to brother, no ghost or spirit or demon will ever get the better of this medium. Paranormal perspectives, we're here to inspect it. I'm a small, not a medium. Let us escape from this tedium, learning from each other, breaking barriers, a message of hope, birthed from